Amara sat at her small wooden desk, trying hard to focus on her school project. The evening air was warm and the soft hum of insects came from outside her window. Her books were open, her notes were spread out neatly, and her pencil tapped lightly against the paper as she tried to think. She had been working for almost 2 hours, but her mind felt tired. She sighed, leaned back in her chair, and stretched her arms above her head. She wanted to finish the project that night, but her thoughts kept drifting away. Just as she picked up her pencil again, her phone buzzed. Amara blinked in surprise. It was unusual for anyone to message her at that hour, and even more unusual for it to be her older sister, Lela. Lela rarely texted her. She preferred talking in person and was not the type to send sudden, mysterious messages. Amara reached for the phone and unlocked it. The message on the screen made her sit up straight. Check the old wooden box in the storage room. You'll understand. Amara stared at the words for several long seconds, unsure if she had read them correctly. The message felt strange. Not scary but strange. Lela was not someone who spoke in riddles. If she needed something, she said it clearly. If she wanted something done, she asked directly. But this message was different. It made Amara's heart beat a little faster. She read the message again. And then again. What was she supposed to understand? What old wooden box was Lela talking about? Amara knew the storage room well. It was behind the kitchen, a narrow space filled with old suitcases, dusty shelves, and forgotten items. Their family kept things there that had not been touched for years. She remembered crates of old clothes, a few broken lamps, stacks of old papers, and jars filled with buttons and coins. But she did not remember any wooden box with her name on it. She slowly put her phone down and tried to return to her school project, but the message would not leave her mind. Every time she tried to think about her assignment, her thoughts drifted back to the box. The words, "You'll understand," echoed in her head. Understand what? Did something happen? Was Lela hiding something? Was she trying to tell her something important? Amara felt a small twist of worry inside her chest. Nothing seemed wrong earlier in the day. Lela had gone to work in the morning, smiling softly like she always did. She had reminded Amara to eat lunch and left with her usual warm but quiet tone. Lela rarely caused confusion and she never played tricks. She was dependable, calm, and thoughtful, which made the message feel even more mysterious. Amara picked up her phone once more, considering whether to call her sister. But then she hesitated. Lela might still be at work or busy. And if she had sent a message like that, maybe she truly wanted Amara to look at the box first. Maybe it was something private, something she couldn't explain over the phone. She typed a quick reply. Which box? She waited. 5 minutes passed. No answer. 10 minutes. Still no answer. Amara swallowed. Her curiosity was growing stronger. It was like a gentle tug pulling her toward the storage room. She looked at her school project. She knew she would not be able to focus until she checked the box. She stood up slowly, brushing dust from her skirt, and walked out of her room. The house was quiet. Her parents were out for the evening and Lela was not home yet. The hallway felt darker than usual, and the far end of it was shadowy but not frightening. Just still. Amara walked past the living room, past the kitchen, and stopped in front of the storage room door. She placed her hand on the wooden handle and took a deep breath. She felt silly for hesitating. It was only a room. Only a box. Nothing dangerous. Yet the message had changed the way she looked at the door. It now seemed like a door to something unknown. She pushed it open. The room smelled faintly of dust and old paper. A single dim bulb hung from the ceiling, giving the space a soft yellow glow. Amara stepped inside and scanned the shelves. She saw tin cans, faded blankets, bent cardboard boxes, and a stack of old school projects that belonged to Lela. But no wooden box. She walked deeper into the room, moving things aside carefully. Her fingers brushed against cool metal, soft cloth, and rough cardboard as she searched. Her heart beat a little faster each time she lifted something. And then, near the back of the room, half hidden behind a suitcase, she saw something brown. She pulled the suitcase aside. There it was. A wooden box. Plain, small, and old, with a simple latch on the front. A quiet shiver went through her. She knelt down and touched the lid. The wood felt smooth but worn, like it had been held many times. She tilted her head, wondering if she had ever seen it before. She didn't think so. She noticed something on the top of the box. Writing? She leaned closer. Her breath caught. Her name was carved into the lid. Amara. Not painted. Not written with pen. Carved. Carefully. She ran her fingers over the letters. Someone had taken time to make them. And suddenly she remembered being very young, maybe 7 or 8, watching Lela carve small shapes into wood scraps with a tiny knife she used for crafts. Lela was patient and gentle with her hands. She used to make small toys from wood, little animals and figures, and she often gave them to Amara when she was a child. Amara's chest tightened with a feeling she could not name. She lightly tugged the latch. It clicked open. But she did not lift the lid yet. Instead, she sat still for a moment, letting the soft quiet of the storage room surround her. The message, the box, the carving, everything suddenly felt important. More important than she had realized. It felt like the start of something she did not yet understand, just like the message had promised. She wondered again why Lela had saved this box for her. What was inside? Why tonight? Why now? Slowly, gently, almost as if she were afraid to break something inside, Amara lifted the lid. She saw the first item resting inside, something soft and familiar, something she had not seen in years. Her breath caught again. And in that moment she understood one thing for certain. Whatever Lela wanted her to find mattered. It mattered very much. The rest she would soon discover. Later that evening, Amara stood in front of the storage room again, feeling a strange mix of curiosity and nervousness. The message from her sister had not left her mind all day. Even after she tried to cook dinner, even after she tried to distract herself with music, even after she stepped outside for fresh air, the thought of the wooden box kept pulling her back. She knew she had already seen the box earlier, but she had not explored everything inside. Now she wanted answers. She wanted to understand why her sister had kept these things hidden for so long. She pushed open the storage room door. The warm night breeze swept in behind her as she stepped into the dusty space. The small bulb above flickered for a moment before glowing steadily. Shadows stretched across the walls and floor, but the room felt more familiar than frightening. Amara took a slow breath and walked toward the back corner where the wooden box waited, sitting quietly like it had been waiting for her for years. She knelt beside it. The name carved on the lid, her own name, looked almost alive in the dim light. She traced the letters again with her fingertips. They felt smooth from age, gently curved from the hand that had made them. She could almost imagine Lela sitting somewhere years ago, carving this with patience and love. That thought warmed her chest, but at the same time it confused her even more. Why would Lela do all this in secret? Amara opened the lid gently. The hinges made a soft, tired sound. The inside of the box was deeper than she expected, lined with an old cloth that had faded from bright red to a softer brownish shade. On top of the cloth sat a small collection of items. Amara blinked as her eyes moved over them slowly, trying to place each one in her memory. The first item she noticed was a set of tiny handmade bracelets. They were colorful and uneven, made with small plastic beads and pieces of thread. Amara touched one gently and felt a wave of memories rush toward her, though they were not clear, only soft feelings and faint images. She remembered sitting on a mat outside their old house, threading beads with clumsy fingers. She remembered laughing because her bracelets always broke, while Lela's bracelets looked perfect. Amara picked up one of the bracelets and studied it closely. It was old, the string slightly loose, but it still held together. She felt a small smile tug at her lips. Lela must have saved these for so long. But why? Under the bracelets were pieces of paper, small drawings. Amara lifted one carefully. The paper was thin and slightly wrinkled. On it was a drawing of a house with two girls holding hands in front of it. The colors were bright and the lines were uneven. Amara recognized the drawing instantly. She had drawn it when she was young, probably 6 or 7. She remembered showing it to everyone proudly, even though the roof was crooked and the sun looked like a funny yellow blob. She had thought it was her best drawing ever. She had forgotten about it completely, yet here it was, safe inside a box she never knew existed. She looked at the next drawing. It was of a tree, a big one with long roots and wide branches. There were small hearts drawn on the branches. She remembered drawing it for Lela on her birthday. She had wanted to draw something beautiful, something special. She remembered giving it to her sister, who had smiled and hugged her tightly. Amara touched the drawing softly, her heart warming at the memory. She thought she had lost all these drawings during their family's many moves. She had never imagined Lela kept them. Then her eyes fell on the tiniest item in the box, a small cloth doll. It was simple, sewn from leftover fabric. The doll's head was made from a round piece of cloth stuffed with cotton, and the face was drawn with a pen. The smile on the doll looked uneven but friendly. The little dress was faded blue. Amara picked up the doll with both hands, holding it gently like it might fall apart. A strong memory hit her this time, clear and sharp. Lela had made this doll for her when she was 5. Amara remembered crying one afternoon because she had lost her favorite toy. Lela had taken scraps of cloth, sat by the window with a needle and thread, and made this doll for her before the day ended. Amara had loved it so much she carried it everywhere. But she thought it had been thrown away when the cloth began to tear. She never knew Lela saved it. Amara sat back on her heels, her heart beating slowly and heavily. Each item inside the box was like a small door opening to a forgotten memory. Items she believed were gone forever had been kept safe all along. But the most surprising part was that Lela had kept all of them in secret. Amara tried to understand why. Was Lela planning to give them to her someday? Did she think Amara would lose them again? Or maybe Lela kept them because she wanted to protect something from their childhood. Something soft and warm that life often takes away as people grow older. The more Amara looked at the items, the more she felt something shift inside her. She had always believed she understood her sister well. Lela was quiet, calm, helpful. She spoke softly and never raised her voice. She worked hard and rarely talked about herself. Amara always thought her sister hid her feelings, not because she wanted to, but because she did not know how to express them. But this box showed something else. Lela expressed her feelings through actions, through small things she protected silently. Amara lifted the bracelet again. Her fingers trembled slightly. She wondered how long Lela had been planning to show her this box. Maybe years. Maybe she had been waiting for the right time, the right moment, the right reason. And maybe tonight was that time. She continued to look through the box. Beneath the main items she found a folded cloth with more drawings wrapped inside. When she opened it she found doodles of trees, birds, houses and childish shapes she once thought were masterpieces. She laughed softly, unable to stop herself. She could imagine Lela picking up these drawings and placing them gently in the box to keep them safe. Amara felt her throat tighten with emotion. She had not expected this. She had not expected any of it. Every item was a quiet message from the past, carefully protected by the person she least expected to hide anything. She placed everything back inside the box gently, arranging them the way she found them. Then she closed the lid slowly and held the box close to her chest for a moment. It felt warm against her, like a small piece of her childhood had returned to her arms. She stood up and carried the box out of the storage room. The night air brushed against her face as she stepped into the hallway. For the first time that day she felt she understood something important. Not the message completely, not yet, but the beginning of it. Lela had done something meaningful. Something thoughtful. Something full of love. And Amara knew she was only beginning to understand why. Amara sat on her bed with the wooden box resting gently on her lap. The room was quiet, filled only with the soft sound of night insects outside the window. Her lamp glowed warmly beside her, casting a soft light on the box and the items she had already taken out. She had looked through each one slowly, feeling memories wash over her in gentle waves. But now there was one last thing left inside the box, something she had almost missed. At the very bottom, beneath the cloth lining, Amara saw a small edge of folded paper. It was tucked so neatly that she would never have found it if she had not removed everything else. She reached in and pulled it out carefully. The paper was slightly yellow, a sign that it had been there for years. She felt her heart beat a little faster. Something about the letter felt important, like it held the answers she had been searching for. She unfolded it slowly. Her breath caught when she saw the handwriting. It was Lela's. Soft, neat, gentle handwriting that had always looked the same even when they were children. Amara's eyes moved across the first lines. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the paper. The letter began simply, almost quietly, as if Lela had spoken the words in the same soft voice she always used. Amara read the first sentence twice, letting it sink in. The letter said that Lela had kept the items in the box for many years. She wrote that she had collected them one by one, choosing the ones that felt most important, the ones she believed Amara loved but might forget. Lela explained that she did not want these small moments to disappear. She wanted to protect them. Amara felt a warm ache inside her chest. She kept reading. The next lines explained something she had not expected. Lela wrote that she always noticed how much Amara enjoyed creating things. Drawing pictures, making small crafts, threading beads, shaping little toys. Amara had always believed she was clumsy and careless, that she misplaced things because she did not pay attention. But in the letter, Lela wrote something different. She said Amara's creativity was full of life. She said the drawings were bright, the bracelets were cheerful, the crafts were full of heart. Lela had saved these items because she believed they were pieces of Amara's spirit, pieces that showed who she truly was. Amara swallowed hard, feeling her throat tighten. She had never known Lela thought of her in that way. She had never heard it. Lela had always been quiet, gentle, but she rarely shared her deepest thoughts. It was not because she did not care, It was because she did not know how to put her feelings into words easily. So she used actions instead of speech. And now, through the letter, she was finally speaking clearly. Amara's eyes moved slowly along the next lines. Lela wrote that she worried Amara would forget her childhood moments as she grew older. She wrote that as people get busy, they lose small pieces of themselves. They forget the joy they once had. They forget how much they used to laugh, how much they dreamed, how much they loved small things. Lela had saved the items so Amara would not lose her softness, her warmth, her creativity. The box was meant to be a reminder, something to give back pieces of her childhood so she could carry them forward. Amara felt her chest grow tight again, but this time with a different feeling. Something warm and heavy, something like gratitude. She read on. There was a part in the letter that made her stop and breathe slowly. Lela wrote that she had kept the box hidden because she wanted to wait for the right moment to give it to her. She wrote that she did not know when that moment would be. She just hoped that someday Amara would be ready to understand why the box mattered. Lela did not want to give it too early, when Amara was still young and might not see the meaning. And she did not want to give it too late, when Amara might not need it anymore. She wanted the moment to feel right. Amara looked up from the letter, her eyes soft and thoughtful. She wondered why tonight had been the moment Lela chose. Nothing special had happened earlier that day. Nothing unusual. But maybe Lela knew something Amara did not. Maybe big moments were not always loud or obvious. Sometimes they came quietly, like the soft message Lela had sent. Amara returned to the letter, reading the next part slowly. Lela wrote that she hoped the items would remind Amara of her strength. She wrote that Amara had always been brave even as a child, even when she did not realize it. She wrote that Amara had a gentle heart that cared for the smallest things. And she wrote that the world needed people like her, people who created, people who loved, people who remembered the small joys. Amara pressed her hand lightly against her chest, feeling her heart beat. She had never heard these words from Lela. She had never known her sister thought of her this way. Tears stung her eyes, but they were warm, not painful. She blinked them away and continued reading. The next part of the letter talked about their childhood. Lela wrote about small moments Amara barely remembered, how they used to sit under the mango tree drawing shapes in the dirt, how they used to pretend the cloth doll could talk, how they made up stories and sang songs in the evening breeze. Lela wrote about how she always loved those moments, even when she did not say it out loud. She said those memories were some of her favorites. Amara paused, letting the memories drift through her mind like soft clouds. She remembered some of those moments, but they felt distant, almost dreamlike. She felt a strange comfort knowing that Lela had carried them so closely in her heart. Toward the end of the letter, Lela wrote something that made Amara sit very still. She wrote that Amara was growing into someone strong and bright, someone who worked hard and tried her best even when she felt unsure. She wrote that she wanted Amara to remember that she was loved deeply, even during times when life felt heavy or confusing. The box, the items, the memories, they were all reminders of that love. Amara felt tears slip quietly down her cheeks. She wiped them away with the back of her hand, smiling softly even as more tears formed. The letter was simple, gentle, honest. It was everything Lela could not say out loud. And now Amara understood why her sister had kept the items for so long. They were not just objects. They were pieces of love saved through time. She reached the final lines. Lela wrote that she hoped Amara would open the box when she needed it most, when she felt lost or tired or unsure of who she was. She hoped the items would remind her of the girl she had been and the woman she was becoming. She ended the letter with a single sentence that made Amara's heart tremble. "I kept these for you because you matter to me more than you know." Amara pressed the letter gently against her chest. She closed her eyes, letting the warmth of the words fill her. She felt closer to her sister than she ever had before, even though they were not in the same room. She felt seen, understood, loved. She folded the letter carefully and placed it back inside the box. She touched the lid gently, feeling the carved letters once more. And as she sat quietly in her room, holding the box close, she realized something important. She finally understood. Amara sat on her bed with the wooden box beside her, and for a long moment she did not move. Her hands rested gently on the lid, and her breathing was soft and steady. She felt something warm, something deep, something she had never felt before in quite this way. She had always believed Lela cared for her, but she had also believed that her sister did not pay close attention. She thought Lela simply watched life quietly from the side, helping when needed but never really looking deeper. But now, with the letter still fresh in her mind and the memories held safely in the box, Amara began to understand how wrong she had been. The truth was gentle but strong. Lela had always been watching, always caring, always paying attention in her own quiet way. She looked at the bracelets again, lying on her blanket like little circles of bright childhood. She picked one up slowly, running her thumb across the faded beads. She remembered making them, remembered laughing when she dropped the beads, remembered how Lela always helped her tie the ends. Back then she had not noticed how patient Lela had been. She had not noticed how her sister always sat close, ready to pick up the beads that rolled away or fix the string when it tangled. Amara realized now that those small actions were a kind of love she had not understood as a child. Lela had not needed to speak it. She had shown it in every small moment. Amara touched the tiny cloth doll next. Its soft, worn fabric felt familiar, like a friend that had waited quietly for her return. She smiled as she remembered the day she first held it, how she had cried after losing her old toy, and how Lela had made this one for her before the sun set. Amara had always seen the doll as a simple gift, something to comfort her sadness. But now she saw more. She saw Lela staying up late, sewing carefully with small, steady hands. She saw the gentle care in every stitch. She saw how much Lela wanted to make her happy. Amara had never fully understood the effort behind the doll until now. She looked at the drawings next. The crooked sun, the uneven roof, the tall tree with hearts drawn on its branches. They were simple drawings, the kind children make every day. Yet Lela had kept them safe for years. Amara felt her chest tighten with emotion. She understood now that Lela saw meaning in things Amara thought were small. Lela saw joy, creativity, and pieces of who Amara was. She saved them because she knew they mattered, even if Amara did not realize it at the time. As Amara thought about everything in the box, she felt her eyes grow warm. She was touched, deeply touched. She had always thought Lela was the strong one, the responsible one, the calm one who never needed anything. She did not think Lela kept memories or treasured little things. She thought her sister simply lived simply without holding on to the past. But she had been wrong. Lela cared more than she let anyone see. She held memories quietly, the way some people hold delicate flowers, gently, carefully, and close to the heart. Amara leaned back and closed her eyes. Thoughts drifted through her mind like soft clouds. She remembered times when Lela had helped her with homework even when she was tired. She remembered moments when Lela gave her the last piece of fruit or stayed beside her when she had nightmares. She remembered how Lela always made sure she ate breakfast even when they were running late. She remembered how Lela checked on her before bed even when she pretended not to notice. All those moments felt small at the time, but now Amara saw them differently. They were pieces of a quiet love that had surrounded her for years. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at the box again. She felt a new understanding fall gently into place inside her heart. Lela had not been distant. She had not been unaware. She had not been silent because she did not care. She had been silent because her care was steady and calm, like soft water moving over stones. She cared through actions, through protection, through remembering the things Amara forgot. Amara felt a warmth spread through her chest. It was slow and deep, like sunlight appearing after a long shade. She held the letter again, a little tighter this time, and read a few lines once more. The words felt different now, not just written sentences but gentle truths. Lela had saved these memories so Amara would not lose them. She had done it out of love, not duty. She had done it because she believed Amara was someone worth protecting, someone worth remembering. A soft smile formed on Amara's face. She felt a little guilty for ever thinking Lela did not pay attention. She felt guilty for not noticing her sister's small actions sooner. But she also felt grateful that Lela had cared so much even when she did not see it. Grateful that she had a sister who gave love not through loud words but through quiet acts that lasted through the years. She placed the letter on her lap and looked around her room. Nothing had changed physically, yet everything felt different. The walls felt warmer, the air felt softer, and even the night outside seemed calm in a new way. It was as if the world had shifted slightly, making room for a deeper truth. Amara hugged the box gently, almost as if she were hugging the memories themselves. She thought about how many times she had walked past Lela without noticing her tired eyes. How many times she had spoken quickly without thinking about Lela's feelings. How many times she had misunderstood her sister's quiet nature. She felt a quiet promise grow inside her, a promise to pay attention now, to see the care Lela had shown, to understand her better. She imagined the moment she would speak to Lela about the box. She pictured herself holding the letter, smiling softly, maybe even crying a little. She imagined Lela looking surprised, maybe shy, maybe embarrassed. Lela might say it was nothing important because that was her way. But Amara knew the truth, it was important. It was very important. A soft breeze drifted through her window, gently lifting the edges of the drawings. Amara picked them up and placed them back inside the box carefully. She arranged the bracelets neatly, placed the little doll beside them, and folded the letter before setting it on top. She closed the lid slowly, holding it for a moment before letting go. She sat quietly, letting everything settle inside her heart. She felt peaceful, thoughtful, and full. For the first time in a long time she felt connected to something deeper. Something warm, something real, something made of love. She finally understood what the box meant. She understood what the letter meant. She understood what Lela had been doing all those years. And most of all, she understood that her sister's love had always been there, steady and quiet, like a soft light in a gentle room. The sun rose slowly, sending soft golden light into the house. The quiet morning air felt gentle, and everything seemed calm and fresh. Amara had barely slept. She had spent most of the night thinking about the wooden box, the drawings, the bracelets, the little cloth doll, and especially the letter from Lela. Her heart felt full, warm, and a little emotional. She kept thinking about everything her sister had done for her without ever asking for anything in return. She could not wait for Lela to wake up. She wanted to see her, talk to her, and show her how much the box meant to her. When Amara heard footsteps in the hallway, she stood quickly. Her hands felt warm and a little shaky. Lela walked toward the kitchen, looking sleepy and calm as always. Her hair was tied loosely, and she rubbed her eyes gently. She did not know Amara had stayed awake thinking about her. She did not know anything had changed. Amara stepped forward quietly. "Lela?" she said softly. Lela looked up, surprised. "Amara? You're awake early." Before Lela could say anything else, Amara moved closer and wrapped her arms around her sister. She hugged her tightly, tighter than she ever had before. Lela froze for a second, surprised, then slowly hugged her back. Amara felt warmth spread through her chest as she held on, not wanting to let go too soon. "Thank you," Amara whispered, her voice soft and full of feeling. Lela blinked in confusion. "Thank you? For what?" Amara pulled back just enough to look at her sister's face. Her eyes were bright with emotion. "For everything," she said. "For the box. For keeping my things. For remembering things I forgot. For caring for me all this time." Lela stared at her, eyes wide, her calm face turning gentle. "You found it," she murmured. "You found the box." Amara nodded. "I read the letter too." Lela looked away for a moment, almost shy. "I didn't know when to give it to you," she said. "I kept waiting for the right time." "You chose the right time," Amara said softly. It meant a lot." Lela's eyes softened. "I'm glad." They walked together to Amara's room where the box waited on the bed. Amara lifted the lid and invited her sister to sit beside her. Lela sat slowly, her hands resting lightly on her lap, watching as Amara took out the items one by one. The room filled with warm morning light, making everything feel peaceful. Amara picked up one of the bracelets. "Do you remember making these with me?" she asked. Lela smiled a small, gentle smile. "Of course I do. You dropped the beads everywhere." Amara laughed softly. "I remember that. I didn't know you saved them." "I saved everything," Lela said quietly. "You always made things with so much energy. I didn't want you to forget that." Amara felt her heart grow warm again. She placed the bracelet back in the box and lifted one of the drawings. The picture of the house and the two girls holding hands. "I forgot about this," she said. "But you didn't." "I liked that one," Lela said. "You were so proud of it." "I was," Amara admitted with a smile. Then Amara picked up the tiny cloth doll. She held it carefully, afraid it might fall apart. "This," she said with a soft breath, "this was my favorite." "I remember the day I made it," Lela said. "You were sad. I wanted to make something to help." "You did," Amara said. "And you still are helping now." Lela looked down, her eyes gentle. "I kept it because it reminded me of you. It reminded me of when we were younger and how you used to laugh." Amara leaned her head on her sister's shoulder. They sat quietly for a moment, letting memories float between them like soft shadows. It felt peaceful, warm, and full of meaning. They spent the next hour talking, laughing quietly, and sharing old stories, stories they had nearly forgotten, stories that made them smile, stories that made them remember who they used to be. They talked about the mango tree they used to sit under, and the silly songs they made up, and the little games they created when they had nothing else to do. They remembered moments that felt small back then but now felt bright and important. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they paused. Sometimes they spoke softly. But every moment felt full, calm, and real. Amara felt closer to her sister than ever before. She realized how much she had missed these small moments, how much she had taken their quiet bond for granted. She understood now that love did not always come with big words or loud actions. Sometimes love was gentle and small. Sometimes it was hidden in the shadows, waiting to be seen. Sometimes it was in the things someone kept safe for years just so they could give them back at the right time. Amara touched the lid of the box and looked at Lela. "I didn't know you kept all of this," she said. "I didn't know you remembered so much." "I remember everything," Lela said softly. "I just don't always talk about it." Amara smiled. "I see that now." Lela looked at her sister with warm eyes. "I wanted you to have something that showed who you were. Something that reminded you of how bright and creative you always were." "You gave me more than that," Amara said. "You gave me pieces of home." Lela looked down shyly again, and Amara smiled at the way she tried to hide her feelings. She gently nudged her sister's shoulder. "You don't have to hide it," she said. "I'm not hiding," Lela said, but she smiled a little. They spent more time going through the box, talking about each item, sharing memories they had nearly lost. The morning sun grew stronger, filling the room with light. The sisters' laughter mixed with the warm air, making the house feel alive and full of something gentle and sweet. As they talked, Amara realized something important, something she had not fully understood until now. Her sister had been carrying love for her all along. Quiet love. Patient love. Love that stayed even when life became busy or confusing. Love that kept memories safe. Love that did not fade. When they finished looking through the box, Amara closed it gently and placed her hand over the lid. She turned to Lela and hugged her again, softer this time but with deep meaning. "Thank you," she whispered again. "For everything." Lela hugged her back, her voice soft. "You're welcome." They stayed like that for a moment, two sisters holding on, understanding each other in a way they never had before. And in that quiet morning light, Amara felt something clear and true inside her. She finally understood how much love her sister had carried all along.